Hanji, Sat Sri Akal, everybody. And ਅੱਜ ਦਾ show special hai. Special kyun hai? Because it's about something very close to me. What is that thing? That thing is something I thrive on. मैं ਉਹ ਚੀਜ਼ ਨੂੰ promote ਵੀ ਕਰਦਾ ਹਾਂ. ਮੈਂ ਉਹ ਚੀਜ਼ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਕਿ ਸਟੱਡੀ ਵੀ ਕਰੋ. ਮੈਂ ਉਹ ਚੀਜ਼ ਦਾ ਇਸਤੇਮਾਲ ਵੀ ਕਰਦਾ ਹਾਂ. ਉਹ ਚੀਜ਼ ਨੇ ਮੇਰੇ ਬਚਪਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਰਹੀ ਆ, ਮੇਰੀ ਜਵਾਨੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਰਹੀ ਆ, ਐਂਡ ਹੁਣ ਸਾਡੀ ਮਿਡਲ ਏਜ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ, ਐ ਮੇਰੇ ਬੁਢਾਪੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਰਹੂਗੀ. And I want my children to have as much passion for that thing as I have. What is that thing? It begins with P. It's not parathe. It is Punjabi. Punjabi language and how we can pass it down to our future generations and how it can help in our dharam and our religion is the topic of today's show. Now, anyone who knows anything about me will know I speak my language very well, or so I'm told. What they might not know is I can read and write my language. I'll give you a little history about myself. Because I speak Punjabi clearly, a lot of people think that I shayad India's jammia, but actually that's not true. I 1975 ek chota ya shahar hai Essex de vich, Romford, utthe main jammia. And all my life I grew up in a little village in Essex called Rainham, which was mainly white dominated. When I went to school, my secondary school, there was only me, the only Punjabi kid in my whole school. Te ਆਪਾਂ ਉਸ environment ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ grow up ਹੋਏ. ਉਹ environment ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ grow up ਹੋ ਕੇ, you're going to say, well, Harjap, how did you get so close to your language? How close do you get to your Punjabi? Why do you speak Punjabi properly if you went to an all-white school or mostly white school? And how do you speak Punjabi so well? Well, my mum and dad were first immigrants. So all India to aaye sige, and they didn't know any Punjabi at school. They didn't know any English at all. They didn't know any English because school hi nahi gaye. So they didn't go to school that much. They didn't pass their 10th. They hadn't done their GCSEs. They come from India. They're farming people. So ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ ਆਪਣੀ ਅੰਗਰੇਜ਼ੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਉਂਦੀ ਸੀ. So in our house, we used to talk Punjabi primarily. On top of that, we used to listen to Punjabi songs. I used to watch Hindi films, Punjabi films. Meer Mittal once, he's actually my childhood hero. And ਆਪਾਂ ਉਹ language ਦੇਖ ਕੇ ਸਿੱਖ ਕੇ ਆਪਾਂ learn ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ. My mum and dad refused to learn English, and even now the only words of English they mainly know are thank you, sorry, please, excuse me, hello. And they used to say, rely on us to translate for them. ਇੱਥੇ ਤੱਕ ਕਿ I remember, and a lot of you will do the same, when a phone call comes or came when we were young, then your mum would pick it up. She'd be there for 2 minutes going, yeah, okay, yeah. And then after 2 minutes, she used to get the phone to me and go, Harjap, koi gora bolda, mainu pata nahi ki kehda, tu gal kar. And I'll be like, oh mum, fir tenu 2 minute ki ho gaye, yeah, no kar di nu, ode naal. So we as children of first generation immigrants, we acted as translators and interpreters. By the age of 9 or 10, we were corresponding with the councils, local authorities, and other things. We were writing letters for our parents. And we could only be effective communicators je sanu apni language da pata siga. One summer, I was 14 years old. And a summer holiday sigi 6 weeks there. We used to look forward to it. And I was bored. And I said, Mum, I'm bored. Yeah. And Mum goes, Punjabi sikha deni hai. Now, because we grew up predominantly in a white area, we didn't have local gurdwaras. Our local gurdwara was Grays, which was 10 miles away, or Barking, which was 10 miles away. So in Rainham, we never had a gurdwara. We never had Punjabi classes. We never had Punjabi teachers. So my only source of Punjabi reading or writing was my mum, and in 6 weeks, she taught me how to read and write Punjabi. I dedicated myself to my language. and I read and wrote Punjabi. And I learnt it. And I learnt it to such an extent that in 1991, in the London Borough of Havering, I said I wanted to do a GCSE in Punjabi. Now, there were no reading materials, no books about it. Only one person in this country wrote books and materials about it at that time. That was a person called Jagat Singh Nagra, J.S. Nagra, Ji, who I treat as my ustad. He wrote books on GCSE Punjabi, A-level Punjabi, and he also wrote the exams. He was also the person responsible for bringing A-level and GCSE Punjabi into the curriculum and have them as GCSEs. You might not have heard that name. Do you know why? And it's a shame to our community that you haven't heard that name. It's because we haven't celebrated him enough. We haven't honored him enough. We haven't respected him enough. We haven't awarded him enough. कोई सिंगर्स आउंदा ना इंग्लैंड च आपां नूं 10 रुपए देई दिया, ट्रॉफी देई दिया, कदे कुछ लंचां ते बनाईदा, कदे डिनर ते सद्दीदा, पर एक व्यक्ति जी जिन्हां ने सारी उम्र अपनी बैटल कीती आ GCSE ते A-level पंजाबी नूं लिआउण लई, इंग्लिश ते बाकी हिस्ट्री सबजैक्ट्स दे मुकाबले विच लिआउण लई, उन्हां दा नाम हैगा जगत सिंह नागरा. रिमेंबर दैट नेम. रिमेंबर दैट नेम. कॉवेंट्री च जी हजे भी हैगे आ ते उन्हां दा नाम बड़े आदर नाल लिया ਜਾਂਦਾ ਆ. ਮੇਰੇ ਦਿਲ 'ਚ ਤਾਂ ਉਹ ਜੀ ਮੇਰੇ ਇੱਕ ਹੀਰੋ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ. ਉਹਨਾਂ ਕਰਕੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਲਿਖੀ ਹੋਈ ਬੁੱਕਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਗਿਆ. ਮੈਨੂੰ ਸਾਊਥ ਹਾਲ ਜਾਣਾ ਪਿਆ ਬੁੱਕਾਂ ਲੈਣ, ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਬੁੱਕਾਂ. ਰੇਨਮ ਤੋਂ ਮੈਂ 2 ਘੰਟੇ ਟਰੈਵਲ ਕੀਤਾ ਤੇ ਵੈਸਟ ਲੰਡਨ ਤੇ ਸਾਥੋਂ ਵਿਰਦੀ ਬ੍ਰਦਰ ਸਟੋਰ ਸੀ ਐਂਡ ਉੱਥੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਮਿਲਦਿਆ ਸੀਗੇ JS ਨਾਗਰਾ ਜੀ ਦੀ ਬੁੱਕਾਂ. ਮੈਂ ਉੱਥੋਂ ਲਈਆਂ, ਉਹ ਮੈਂ ਸਟੱਡੀ ਕੀਤੀਆਂ. And I did a GCSE Punjabi in the London Borough of Havering in 1991. I was the only one who sat that exam. There was a big hall, school hall. I was sat there on my own on a chair and there were 3 teachers there. And I said to them, I said, why are you 3 teachers there? Tusi ek raho, I can't copy anybody. Tusi 2 chutti maro, glass pani piyo jaake. ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨਾ ਆ ਸਾਡੀ ਕੋਡ ਆ, ਤੂੰ ਇਕੱਲਾ ਹੀ ਆ, ਆਪਾਂ 3 ਜਣੇ ਹੈਗੇ, ਆਪਾਂ ਬੁੱਕ ਪੜ੍ਹੋਗੇ, ਕੋਈ ਗੱਲ ਨਹੀਂ, ਤੂੰ ਉਹ ਕਿਹੜਾ ਇੰਟਰਨੈਟ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਸੀ. I sat the exam. I got an A grade for it. 2 years later, I decided to sit the A-level in 1993. 2 years later, I was the only one again in the same school hall, same teachers, doing A-level Punjabi. For that wasn't about learning Uda Ada. That was about reading Punjabi literature. Piran da Paraga, I had to read, by Shiv Kumar Batalvi. Bhai Veer Singh Sundari is a book I had to read. Pavitr Papi by Nanak Singh, I had to read. And there were essay-style questions in that exam. I did it and I got an A grade. Only one in my borough, in the London Borough of Havering. ਹੁਣ ਤਾਂ Havering 'ਚ ਬਹੁਤ ਆਪਣੇ ਬੰਦੇ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ, some of you might be watching. ਔਰ ਤਾਂ ਥੋੜੇ ਹੀ ਸੀਗੇ. ਸੋ ਆਪਾਂ ਉਹ ਐਗਜ਼ਾਮ ਕੀਤੇ. ਉਹ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ has been the cornerstone of my life. ਉਹ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ has been a cornerstone of my success. ਅੱਜ ਮੈਂ ਆਪਣੀ ਜੌਬ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ 50% ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਬੋਲਦਾ. ਅੱਜ ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਇਸ TV ਸਟੇਸ਼ਨ 'ਤੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ 'ਤੇ ਤਾਂ ਬੈਠਾ ਮੈਂ ਕਿਉਂ ਮੈਂ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਬੋਲਦਾ. ਮੈਂ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਫਿਲਮਾਂ 'ਚ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਦਾ ਹਾਂ, ਜਿਮੀ ਸ਼ੇਰਗਿੱਲ, ਨੀਰੂ ਬਾਜਵਾ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਦਾ ਹਾਂ, ਫਿਲਮਾਂ ਬਣਾਈਆਂ. ਮੈਂ ਕਿਉਂ ਕੀਤਾ? ਕਿਉਂ ਮੈਂ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਬੋਲਦਾ. So that Punjabi has been a cornerstone of my life. However, I'm very disappointed to note that ਅੱਜ ਕੱਲ੍ਹ ਜੋ ਬੱਚੇ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ A-level and GCSE ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਆ, the numbers are dwindling. ਆਪਣੇ ਜੋ ਬੱਚੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ of ਪੰਜਾਬੀ origin, ਜਾਂ ਭਾਵੇਂ ਉਹ ਹਿੰਦੂ ਆ, ਸਿੱਖ ਆ, ਕ੍ਰਿਸਚਨ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ, more of them sit French GCSE and German GCSE and Spanish GCSE than they do Punjabi GCSE. It's not enough to listen to Punjabi songs and go like that. That doesn't make you Punjabi. If you want to really become Punjabi, then endeavor to do the language. A lot of you can do GCSE Punjabi and you have a lot more facilities than we did. We just had JS Nagraji's books and we had our mums who taught us Punjabi. You've got the internet, you've got YouTube, you've got all these facilities, animations to teach you Punjabi. And we're going to show you these in the show as to what teaches you Punjabi or not. There's no excuse now for you not to do Punjabi. The key point I'm telling you this is, if not enough of you uptake GCSE and A-level Punjabi, the government is proposing to scrap it. They're going to scrap Punjabi. All the things that we fought for and J.S. Nagaraji fought for and dedicated their life to is going to go. Because why? Because we can't be bothered. Let me tell you another thing. When I applied to go to Kingston University to study law, I said I have 4 A-levels. I had history, politics, and English. And I had Punjabi. Do you know what they said to me? They said, we're not going to consider your Punjabi grade. They go, we don't consider that. And I said, why not? They go, that's your native tongue. And I said, actually, my native tongue is English. And if that's the case, then all these English people, you're accepting their English A-level. Why won't you accept my Punjabi A-level? They wouldn't accept it. Now things have changed. That extra A-level gives you an advantage. It gives you extra points. That extra GCSE is counted. But that was the struggles we had back then in 1993. 20 years down the line, our kids still aren't taking the Punjabi GCSE and A-level. अपने बच्चे पंजाबी नाल टुटदे जा रहे हैं. And ਆਪਾਂ ਦੀ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕੀ ਆ, ਮੇਰਾ ਮੈਸੇਜ ਇਹੀ ਆ ਜੀ ਕਿ ਆਪਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਾਂਗੇ ਤਾਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ ਕਿ ਸਾਡੀ ਐਜ਼ ਅ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਜ਼ਿੰਮੇਵਾਰੀ ਇਹ ਆ that we should get our kids into Punjabi. We should get our kids to take these exams. We should get our kids to read and write Punjabi. We should get our kids to do this. How many of you my age can't even read your own land document in Punjabi? I can read mine. I can read all of yours. That was thanks to my mum teaching me. You can't even read your own. You don't even know how much land you own. Don't sit there now cussing me at home just because I'm telling you the truth. It's the truth. ਤੁਸੀਂ ਤਾਂ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਦੱਸ ਸਕਦੇ. Your chache, masar, tae, pulling fast ones on you because you can't even read. When you get off at Chandigarh airport or Amritsar airport, you can't even read the advert. Yeah, so we can do that. There's ability in us. If I can do it, and I was the laziest student out there, then I'm sure you lot can. And je aapa nahi kar paye na, then let's not make our kids like ourselves. Let's make them better than ourselves. If you want your kids to be like you, you're not progressing. You should always want your kids to be better than you. And I want all the Punjabi kids out there to be better than me. And I want them all to be better than you. And we can achieve that. And aapa ek karange. This shouldn't be our responsibilities, but it is. This should be the responsibilities of the leaders in our community who have got heavy funds. ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਕੋ ਇੰਨੇ ਪੈਸੇ ਪਏ ਆ. ਆਪਣੀ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਦੇ ਲੀਡਰ ਮਿਲੀਅਨਸ ਆਫ ਪਾਉਂਡਸ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਬੈਠੇ ਪਏ ਆ ਬੈਂਕ ਅਕਾਊਂਟਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ. ਭਾਵੇਂ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰੇ ਦੇ ਬੈਂਕ ਅਕਾਊਂਟ ਆ, ਮੰਦਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਬੈਂਕ ਅਕਾਊਂਟ ਆ, ਚੈਰਿਟੀਜ਼ ਦੇ ਬੈਂਕ ਅਕਾਊਂਟ ਆ. ਉਹ ਪੈਸੇ ਤੇ ਬੈਠੇ ਆ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਅੰਡਿਆਂ ਤੇ ਬੈਠੀ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਮੁਰਗੀ. ਉਹ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਪੈਸੇ ਲਾਉਣ ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਫਿਊਚਰ ਸਾਡਾ ਵਧੇ. ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਹ ਦੇਖ ਲਓ ਜੀ, ਉਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਇੱਕ ਨੈਸ਼ਨਲ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਬਣਨਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਜਿਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹਰ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਬੱਚੇ ਨੂੰ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਸਿਖਾਈ ਜਾਣੀ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ ਆ ਫ੍ਰੀ ਆਫ ਚਾਰਜ ਐਟ ਅ ਲੋਕਲ ਸੈਂਟਰ. ਆਪਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਅੰਗਰੇਜ਼ੀ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਿਖਾ ਸਕਦੇ ਫੋਰ ਫ੍ਰੀ 'ਚ. ਆਪਾਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਤੱਕ ਆਪਾਂ ਮਾਇਆ ਨਾਲ ਪਿਆਰ ਕਰਨੇ ਬੈਠੇ ਤੇ ਇਹ ਪੈਸੇ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਕਿੱਥੇ ਜਾਣੇ ਆ? ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਅਸਲੀ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਦੇ ਸੇਵਕ ਬਣਨਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ ਦੈਨ ਪਲੀਜ਼ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਦਾ ਪ੍ਰਚਾਰ ਕਰੋ ਤੇ ਆਪਣੀ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਨੂੰ ਕਰੋ ਕਿ ਆਪਣੀ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਸਿਖਾਓ ਸਾਡੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਤੋਂ ਦੂਰ ਨਾ ਕਰੋ. ਆਪਾਂ ਇਸ ਚੀਜ਼ ਦੀ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰੀਏ. ਟੁਡੇਜ਼ ਸ਼ੋ ਜੋ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ ਇਜ਼ ਡੈਡੀਕੇਟਿਡ ਟੂ ਆਵਰ ਚਿਲਡਰਨ, ਦ ਨੈਕਸਟ ਜਨਰੇਸ਼ਨ. ਆਪਾਂ ਆਪਣੀ ਅਗਲੀ ਜਨਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਨੂੰ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਵਧਾਉਣਾ ਆ, ਉਹ ਜੀ ਵਧਾਉਣਾ ਆਪਣੇ ਧਰਮ ਨਾਲ ਜੋੜਨਾ ਆ, ਆਪਣੀ ਲੈਂਗੁਏਜ ਨਾਲ ਜੋੜਨਾ ਆ. ਤਾਂ ਮੇਰੀ ਨਾ ਸੁਣੋ, ਜੇ ਮੇਰੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੁਣਨੀ ਡਜ਼ਨਟ ਮੈਟਰ. ਆਈਵ ਗੋਟ 20 guests coming on the show ਜੋ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਇਹੀ ਗੱਲ ਦੱਸੂਗੇ. ਲੈਟਸ ਨਾਟ ਫੇਲ ਆਰ ਕਿਡਸ. ਆਪਾਂ ਜੋ ਪੁਰਾਣੀ ਗਲਤੀਆਂ ਕੀਤੀਆਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਦੁਹਰਾਈਏ ਨਾ. ਆਪਾਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਲਈ ਫੇਲੀਅਰ ਨਾ ਬਣੀਏ. ਆਪਾਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਮੌਕਾ ਦਈਏ. ਆਪਾਂ ਜੋ ਸਾਡੇ ਸੰਸਥਾਵਾਂ ਦੇ ਪੈਸੇ ਆ ਉਹ ਸਹੀ ਜਗ੍ਹਾ ਲਾਈਏ. ਸਵਾਲ ਜੋ ਵੀ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਉਹਦਾ ਆਨਸਰ ਐਜੂਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਹੀ ਆ. ਅਤੇ ਐਜੂਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਇੱਕ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਦੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਆ ਜੋ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਖੋ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਕਦੇ. ਮੇਰੇ ਤੋਂ ਮੇਰੇ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ GCSE ਅਤੇ A-level ਕੋਈ ਨਹੀਂ ਖੋ ਸਕਦਾ. ਤੁਹਾਤੋਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਘਰ ਤੋਂ ਕੋਈ ਖੋ ਸਕਦਾ ਆ, ਤੁਹਾਤੋਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਬਿਜ਼ਨਸ ਤੋਂ ਕੋਈ ਖੋ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈ, ਤੁਹਾਤੋਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਘੜੀਆਂ ਕੋਈ ਖੋ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈ, ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਗਹਿਣੇ ਖੋ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈ, ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਜ਼ਮੀਨ ਖੋ ਸਕਦਾ, ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਐਜੂਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਦਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੋਈ ਖੋ ਸਕਦਾ। ਆਪਾਂ ਉਹ ਗਿਫਟ ਦਈਏ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ। ਆਪਾਂ ਜਾਣੇ ਇਸ ਮੈਸੇजेस ਵੱਲ, ਤਾਂ ਹੋਪਫੁਲੀ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਮੇਰਾ ਮੈਸੇਜ ਵੀ ਸਮਝ ਆਇਆ। ਤਾਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਹੁਣ ਮਿਲਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਇਸ ਮੈਸੇਜਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ।
ਮੈਨੂੰ ਇੱਕ ਦਿਨ ਸੁਪਨੇ 'ਚ ਬੀਬੀ ਆਈ ਸੀ ਵੀ ਆਪਾਂ ਭੂਆ ਕੇ ਪਿੰਡ ਚੱਲੀਏ, ਵੀ ਮੈਂ ਝਾਕੀ ਤੇ ਭੱਜੀ। ਮੈਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਮਿਸ ਕਰਦੀ ਹਾਂ ਦਾਦੀ ਨੂੰ।
ਹਾਂਜੀ 7 ਤਰੀਕ ਨੂੰ ਗਏ ਸੀਗੇ ਅਸੀਂ, 18 ਤਰੀਕ ਨੂੰ ਮੁੜ ਕੇ ਆਏ। ਉਹਦੀ ਮੌਤ ਹੋ ਗਈ ਉਹਦੀ ਜੀ, ਬਸ 20 ਨੂੰ ਮੌਤ ਹੋ ਗਈ ਉਹਦੀ ਦੀ। ਗੱਲਾਂ ਬਾਤਾਂ ਕੀਤੀਆਂ ਜੀ, ਜਦੋਂ ਉੱਥੇ ਬਾਗੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੀ ਮੇਰੇ ਦਰਦ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਜੀ। ਉਸ ਨਾਲ ਦਰਦ ਹੁੰਦਾ, ਕਹਿੰਦੀ ਮੇਰੇ ਦਰਦ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਬਸ ਅਸੀਂ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਡਾਊਨ ਹੋ ਗਏ ਜੀ। ਦੋ ਮੁੰਡੇ, ਇੱਕ ਮੁੰਡਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਜੀ ਜਾਂ ਪੋਤੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਉਹਦੀਆਂ।
2 ਕਿੱਲੇ ਜ਼ਮੀਨ ਦੇ ਜੋ ਵੀ ਬਰਾਨੀ ਆ, ਪਾਣੀ ਧਾਣੇ ਆਏ ਨੇ, ਮਤਲਬ ਫਸਲ ਬਸ ਮਾੜੀ ਮੋਟੀ ਖਾਣ ਪੀਣ ਜੋਕਰੀ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਜੀ। ਉਹ ਦੂਜਾ ਉਹ ਮੁੰਡਾ ਰਹਿ ਗਿਆ ਜੀ, ਇੱਕ ਕੁੜੀਆਂ ਦਾ 3 ਵਿਆਹੀਆਂ ਹੋਈਆਂ। ਉਹ ਮੁੰਡੇ ਦੇ 3 ਬੱਚੇ ਛੋਟੇ ਛੋਟੇ, ਬਸ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਟਾਈਮ ਦਾ ਪਾਸ ਮਸਾਂ ਹੀ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਜੀ। ਤੇ ਤੂੰ ਵੀ ਉਹ ਜਵਾਕ ਵੀ ਥੋੜ੍ਹਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਮੰਦ ਬੁੱਢੀ ਜੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਜੀ, ਇਹੋ ਜਿਹੀ ਇਹਦੇ ਘਰ ਵਾਲੀ ਦਾ ਵੀ ਥੋੜ੍ਹਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਦਿਮਾਗ ਦਾ ਠੀਕ ਨਹੀਂ। ਤੇ ਐਂ ਕਰਕੇ ਤਾਂ ਇਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਵੀ ਚਲੋ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿਚਾਰਿਆਂ ਦੀ ਕੋਈ ਮਦਦ ਹੋ ਜੇ ਤੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਸੋਹਣੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੈ।
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। ਸੰਗਤ ਜੀ, ਜਿਵੇਂ ਸਰਪੰਚ ਜੀ ਨੇ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਹੈਗਾ, ਆਪਾਂ ਕਿੱਥੇ ਪਹੁੰਚੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਹਾਂ, ਤਾਂ ਇਹ ਪਿੰਡ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹ ਘਰ ਆ ਕੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਅੱਜ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਕੀਤੀਆਂ, ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਨੂੰ ਮਿਲੇ ਆ। ਤਾਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਦਿਲ ਨੂੰ ਥੋੜ੍ਹੀ ਅਪਸੈਟਿੰਗ ਫੀਲਿੰਗ ਹੋਈ ਹੈ ਵੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਗਰੀਬ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਆ, ਤਾਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਲੋੜ ਆ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਦੀ, ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਬਹੁਤ ਲੋੜ ਆ, ਤਾਂ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਨੂੰ ਬਹੁਤ ਲੋੜ ਆ ਮਦਦ ਦੀ। ਸੋ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਸਹਿਯੋਗ ਨਾਲ ਆਪਾਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਅੱਜ ਆਏ ਹੈਗੇ, ਤਾਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਟੀਮ ਨਾਲ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਡਿਸਕਸ਼ਨ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ, ਤਾਂ ਇਹ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਦੀ ਤਾਂ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਦੀ ਮਦਦ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ।
ਤੂੰ ਮੇਰੋ ਪਿਆਰੋ ਤਾਂ ਕੈਸੀ
Liverpool, they're a football club steeped in history.
Hey Daddy, hey Megan, who's winning? Liverpool obviously. Oh cool, that's good. Dad has scored an amazing goal. We're not even playing the full squad. We got no Mane, Firmino, or Alisson. Oh okay. Hey, do you know all the footballers' names? Obviously it's the best team in the world. Impressive. Can I ask you a question, Daddy? Of course, son. Can you name all the 10 gurus? Who's the 4th guru? Is it guru? You don't know, do you, Daddy? No, but no, you don't. Okay, Daddy, do me a favor. Give me the remote. Daddy, you always tell me education is the most important thing.
Now, a few weeks ago, kids have got YouTube on as they have, and ਆਪਾਂ ਸੁਣ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ YouTube, and the kids listen to the same stuff that they do. Mine are small, 9 and 3, and they listen to all the English stuff, but I heard them listening to a song, and it went, Guru Nanak, where are you? Here I am with Waheguru. And I turned around and I said, what are they watching here and who's done this? And they were engrossed in front of the TV. And these are kids that don't sit still, and I'm sure yours are the same. ਨਿਆਣੇ ਕਿੰਨੇ ਔਖੇ ਆ ਬਿਠਾਉਣੇ ਇੱਕ ਜਗ੍ਹਾ, ਖਾਸ ਤੌਰ ਤੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੋਈ ਗੱਲ ਕਰੋ, ਜੇ ਸਿੱਖੀ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰੋ ਜਾਂ ਧਰਮ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰੋ, they really don't want to sit there still. But I found that they were watching this video, listening to this song, repeating it, singing along with it. Their mum was joining them as well. They got my mum to join in as well. They got me to join in as well. And I was thinking, what is all this about? And so today, we've done a bit of research and we've managed to get you the people who have made that song and have made a lot more animation. You saw their advert as well. Their organisation is called I am 1313. This is a book that they've got out, which we'll talk about later. But let me first introduce you to Pritpal Rai and Ben Barter from I am 1313. Well, Sat Sri Akal ji, thank you for the show. Thank you for coming. So I was amazed. I was amazed when I saw this captivity of my kids. They're sitting there in front of this and they're watching these cartoon characters and they're dressed up like Sikhs and they're talking about the gurus and animated versions. Then I thought, who's done this? And then when we've done a bit of research, then I thought, actually, it's these guys. So what made you decide, right, this is what we want to do?
I think thank you for Harjap. For me, it was being a father. You know, seeing my children now and thinking, how can I give them, you know, Sikh in a way that's, you know, not forced upon. You know, one thing now, as you know, with children, that there's iPads, iPhones, you know, TV. At the moment, that you're fighting for their attention.
Yeah.
So, and also, you know, I realized very quickly that even when I play nursery rhymes to my child, I would learn them.
Yeah.
I would learn the songs I didn't want to learn, but ultimately I would learn those things. Education would come through media, and you know, I thought, isn't this a great tool? How we, you know, maybe we're looking at education the wrong way. Maybe the focus should be on entertainment, but underneath that, you know, send the education we want. So, you know, as you know, my child is only young at the age, but I wanted him to have some kind of develop his consciousness and have guru in his life.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know what? When I was young, you know, my grandma would tell me stories, and I was lucky to have, you know, read certain books, and that kind of brought me closer to Guru's side, but also saved me in many situations in life. And I thought, as a parent, I can't be there for my child every time. There's going to be occasions when I'm not going to be there. How can I make sure he's making the right decisions? How can I give Guru in his life? How can I instill that love without enforcing it on him? So we started off just, you know, with an idea. I thought, you know what, I heard a rhyme and some music, and I thought, let me just rhyme over this. And the concept came, I thought, okay, you know, we could do this, right? It wouldn't be that difficult. However, one thing, a couple of friends at the time, we got together. Everything we did was, we felt like, you know, where Sikh media was and where the mainstream media was, they're miles apart.
Oh, they still are.
They still
are, yeah.
So, you know, I was accustomed to watching things on Disney, for example,
Yeah.
Hollywood. You know, I wouldn't be interested in things that were less than that because that's the norm for me.
Yeah.
So I thought, if you've got to do something, then it's got to be such a standard that people that are born in this country, that are accustomed to that level of media,
Yeah.
that could relate to it. So we brought in like world-class producers that have worked on things like the Harry Potter films. We wrote all the songs ourselves. We brought in, we brought Snartham Chord, Taran Chord,
Yeah.
even like Navin Kundra. We found
Top singers.
Top singers,
Yeah.
yeah. We found professional singers that could actually sing. And we actually auditioned singers just to make sure they could actually pull off the level of vocal, so it sounded authentic. And then, you know, that's where the album My Best Friend was born,
Yeah.
which did really, really well. And the whole idea was, again, to make something engaging, not just for Sikhs, but for the wider audience.
To educate.
Yeah, to educate, yeah, so they could enjoy the songs, but really they were learning a lot. There was a lot of content in the songs. You know, there's a lot of thought process behind the words. And that's really where we kind of started from.
Mine repeat that, and obviously they get us roped into it as well.
That's right.
And you know, a kid, once they got remote control, it's hard to get it off of.
And like you said about the Guru's names, for example, most Punjabis, if you go to them, I can probably say they don't know the Guru's names. But the whole idea behind, you know, this animation and the song was that through repetition, not just the kids, but the kids would learn it. But what would happen is the parents that are around the house, hopefully they would learn it as well. Yeah. You know, and it's like a, you know, and through that, you know, they hopefully their journey would develop and they would want to learn more, but they would know something rather than nothing. And that was kind of an inspiration that how can we create something so fabulous that, you know, so you could learn so much, yet would not feel like you're learning. You're just engaging with something that you really like.
Ben, how did you get roped into this? So like, you're not Punjabi, mate.
Yeah.
You don't look like a Sikh to me.
That's it.
But yeah, so how did you get roped into this? And did you know anything about Sikhs before you met Pritpal? And
Yeah, well, I've got two very close friends of mine, Jagdeep and Sadhu, who I've been friends with for over 10 years.
Right.
And so I knew a little bit about Sikhism, but I never knew as much as I've learned from being, working on these projects and just like going through with Pritpal and the whole I Am 1313 team.
Yeah.
And it's been fascinating because when we first started the lullaby, the animation, it kind of evolved into something more than that to introduce the 10 gurus, the 11 gurus, and then have people like Pritpal was saying, like learning the names of each of the gurus and stuff. And it's been fascinating to see even say my family and friends who are not from a Sikh background at all, like white parents and stuff, read the book and be so fascinated by the book and asking me questions that I can actually answer. So I've even learned. I mean, I don't know much, but I've learned quite a lot just from these guys from working on these projects. So it's been great.
I love the way you've got, like, if we look at here and open the book here. So there's a whole Khalsa family and there's whole characters here, Hari Singh and Ram Singh and Seva Singh. They've even got a horse called Charan. That's right. Yeah. And they've got family and friends. They've got, look like Paras and Gyan, Amrit Kaur. So you've got a whole family, like the characters. It's this, and watching the whole animation, it's almost like a Disney sort of a Netflix production. I'm quite impressed.
That's the goal. I mean, one of our goals is actually, if you look at Disney, that's kind of where we kind of want to inspire to create. Imagine if we could create a Disney-style animation on a Sikh family. You look at 9/11 and look at all the crimes against Sikhs just because of mistaken identity, right? Yeah. Now imagine if we put them in a different light through animation. I know you could just change the world's opinions and the world's thought process. There's so much negativity has already been built through the media since 9/11, since all these reports of terrorism.
Just recently with the whole Indianapolis.
So animation is a fantastic way of kind of tackling that because it humanizes people. They can see someone in a turban that looks beautiful, that isn't what they think, and that was kind of our goal. And we want to take it mainstream. It wasn't kind of to keep it within the just the Sikh community. How do we take it beyond that?
Pritpal, this looks really expensive to do.
Oh yeah.
How expensive is it?
So what people don't realize is that when you do a project like this, I mean, even you've got the story, you've got the writing, the amount of energy, like Ben will tell you, it's not just we're this complete perfectionism in the sense that we will do things and go start again. We'll go back and months and months and months. I mean, that took literally, I think 9 months.
Yeah, 9 months.
9 months of work.
It evolved from the lullaby to begin with, and then because the lullaby, the success of that, they were like, we need to turn this into a picture book, which like had seeing the gurus being all these different landscapes and having this reveal from to show that the gurus are everywhere, so the kids can engage
in everyday life.
In everyday life, yeah.
What sort of costs does, say if I wanted to make something like a production, we're talking thousands, right?
Thousands, yeah.
Right. So now the next question is, how are you funded?
So we started off just.
Don't say you funded this yourself.
Yes. Well, we really started this one, and now we had a very kind of close friends and family from a local community there again that really supported us. We're very lucky, but as the projects have grown, it's got harder. And as you can imagine, as the projects, as the more adventurous we get, and trying to grow it, everything. I mean, it's always been a battle. It's never been easy.
But through this is one true medium where we can reach the whole world. Yeah. And I always say the catchphrase on this show is that no matter what the question is, the answer is always education. But this is truly, you can have, this book should be in every school. I believe it should be in every school library and every class. Yeah. I believe that animation should be on every channel and should be educating the public. Our public and our religion, we always say, we need to educate people, we need to let people know who we are. Well, you've got to engage with community, and you've got to engage with your own community first. And I feel, if your own kids, you can't take them to the Gurdwara, or you can't find something interesting about your religion, or you're using the same tactics that our parents did are either going to sit there and force you to learn Punjabi, they're going to force you to watch something which you don't find engaging or you don't want to listen to. As the age has changed, we can't expect kids to use our old teaching methods. It's almost like saying to used to, all right, you teach my kids on a blackboard, and I have a blackboard eraser, right? And I don't think that wouldn't be. So I think different kids nowadays and different people need different methods of engagement. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of like you say, it's the digital age is here now, right? So you're having kids are most drawn to iPads. They're on YouTube all the time. That, you know, so to get that, we need to get the, you know, good content now on these platforms. So kids, like you said, you heard this noise in the song, and then you're like, what is this music? And then
exactly
you realise, So this is the key to get this sort of content on there, and even having a Sikh boy as the main protagonist, and like I just think it's something that, you know, this world kind of needs more of, you know, like seeing that diversity. And since all this, like the Black Lives Matter movement and things like that, this is what the world's crying out for now, to have this type of things pushed. So.
I get a lot of people messaging me, and a lot of people message this show and say, after the Kisans we helped, we want to help more. How can we help? How can we do seva? Now, as much as I'd like to say, yeah, do langars worldwide, and that's good because there's already 50 organizations doing that. Or, Baji, let's build a new Gurdwara, a new building. There's already Gurdwara that are built, big buildings that are built. The fact is, how do we get our kids into the Gurdwaras? How do we get them knowledgeable? And how can we start that? That's going to have to start at home. And that's going to have to start through stuff like this. And if you want to do seva, if there's any people out there who want to do true seva, this is another form of seva, because education providing is the one thing that you cannot take away from anybody. And this education on YouTube will be there for a lifetime. Imagine helping something which will be there for a lifetime. It's not like you give someone a feed and it's over by the end of the day. You're feeding the soul, you're feeding their minds for a lifetime. So you can see the scroll at the bottom. This is their organization, and you can see the websites that are coming up. And these things are expensive to do, but if you want to help them, or if you're a businessman, you've got a bit of money set by, you want to help a project where you can say, yeah, I helped something. It doesn't matter how much you can help. Please, there's no point giving to those who already have money sitting in their bank. Let's help people who need the money to help produce brilliant content that your kids can watch on TV, that my kids can watch on TV, that we take for granted. I must admit, I have watched content like yourself and other stuff all the time, and I've never once thought how much it costs to make, who are the guys doing it, do they need money? And now I'm sitting here and I'm feeling a sense of shame. I'm feeling ashamed. I think some people at home must be, that how selfish are we to take, and we're known as a nation of givers. You know, look, when the Kisans cried out, look how much money we raised. When there were floods, look how we went out to help. We go all across the world to help. And I'm sure we can help Pritpal and Ben, who are going out their way to give their time, using their money. You're using your personal funds.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
You are, right? So you shouldn't have to be. Our Gurdwaras have got enough money every week walking through their door that if one Gurdwara a week said to you, right, we're going to give you £1,000 a week for your project, yeah, it will be no scratch off their nose or nothing, no harm to them, but it could fund your project for what? A whole lifetime.
Yeah, I think these projects, for example, animation. When you do 3D animation, for example, it can cost you something like £25,000 to £50,000 a minute. That's when you look at these animation costs to do it properly. If you want to cut corners, you can do that, right?
So even like episodes like SpongeBob, they must cost like $500,000 to make.
$500,000, yeah.
It's big
to make, and then when you see that, people don't realise that. I mean, if you look at, for example,
and all you lot think he's just a sponge that talks that you wash your bande with. But he isn't. It costs £500,000 for half an hour. Onto the cookie. There, a manga sponge.
But it's like even the film side of it. If you look at Passion of Christ, which is a prime example, I thought it was such a fantastic film. Yeah. It cost. I remember being in New York at the time, watching it 4 times because I thought, wow, imagine if we could show our history in that manner. Now that film cost like I think $30 million, which is about £90 million at the time, and I thought we built a Gurdwara for £90 million. Yet, this person's created a film for £90 million, $30 million at the time, and he's touched so many people around the world. And it's literally, you know, I thought that prachar that he's done is phenomenal. You know, why haven't we replicated this? Why haven't we been able to tell our history to the world? How are we not doing this? We've got the money and the resources, yet we're happy to spend 50,000 on building a wall and all these things, which I get are important. But when you say, you know, you're spending money towards animation or something, it's almost like a taboo. People don't realize the time and effort that goes into.
Pritpal, let me tell you something. There's an animated film called Jar Sahibzade, which did amazingly. But as for us, Marigal and Nia, we couldn't even fund it as a nation. A Bollywood producer and his actor's son had to fund that film, make it, and show the world through that who the Jar Sahibzade was. This is the stuff our Gurdwara should be doing. People like me and you sat at home should be doing. We should take our daswand from some weeks and give it to people like this so your message can go around the world. How many hits have you had on your lullaby video?
Is that 1.3 million?
Yeah.
1.3 million hits.
That's right, yeah.
Right. If you'd have had 1 penny for each of those hits, 1p for each of those 1.3 million hits, you would have had a lot. That would have paid for the whole thing, right? And yet we take, and yet we don't give. So it's now time for us to step up. If you really want to do something, go and help these guys. Go to they're not here to beg. They didn't come here to beg. They came here to tell you about their book and about to let you know who they are, what your kids are watching on TV, that this is what they're doing. But I'm saying from my behalf, ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮਦਦ ਕਰਨੀ ਆ ਨਾ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਤਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਗਰੂਪ ਖੋਲ ਕੇ ਆਪਣੀ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਮਦਦ ਕਰੋ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ GoFundMe ਚੱਲ ਰਿਹਾ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਵੈਬਸਾਈਟ ਤੇ ਵੀ ਪੇਜ ਚੱਲ ਰਿਹਾ this is the sort of stuff that will bring our kids closer to our religion to our history this stuff and this stuff ਹੈ ਜੋ ਐਨੀਮੇਸ਼ਨ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਬਣਾਈ ਆ ਇਹ ਕੋਈ ਮਾੜੀ ਗੱਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਾਡਾ ਫਾਇਦਾ ਹੀ ਫਾਇਦਾ it will engage your children on the iPads and the iPhones.
Also, as well, sorry to interrupt, to bridge the gap as well, like, you know, because even like people from my background and stuff have been interested in this, and it's been great to see the sales that have come on from different faiths and ethnicities. It's like, I mean, I've known Pritpal now in the Iron 1313 team for 2 years, and the story, so, like Sikhi culture is so rich in stories. I mean, I didn't even know about the Battle of Chimpor until, like, you know, about a year or so ago. And you hear movies like, and this is just an example, you hear movies like Troy, 300 and stuff, which are glorified Braveheart, glorified all over the world and stuff. And then the Battle of Chimpor is like, in my mind, is far more epic than these stories. And I was like, how is this not on the, like, you know, how does the world not know about this?
We have got 20 Bravehearts, 20 Troys, 20 Game of Thrones battles. We have got all of that real life in our history. And yet it's not played out. We're not told about it. We're expected to go somewhere and learn about it instead of it coming into our home. And if I just ask you, how many non-Sikhs have bought this book? Because you know, and how much feedback have you had from non-Sikhs?
I would reservedly say it would be between, I don't know.
I would say probably 1 in 10. Is from kind of.
And most of it has been because, I mean, I know my family and friends have obviously supported me, but I've also, there's a lot of people that I've not known from different backgrounds and ethnicities that bought it just because I think it's something that's engaging. They just want to we wanted to create something that people would have a look at just because it's an engaging thing, and then to learn that it has this embedded, like, extra reach almost with the gurus and the teachings of Sikhs.
What's that story you told me about, the guys in the gym, you know, that?
Yeah, so a guy that I go to the gym and I barely speak.
We can tell.
We
can tell, and I don't. We can tell that as well.
It's one of those type of situations where, you know, when you see someone quite often and it's kind of like one of those, you nod just to acknowledge them sort of thing. Never spoke more than 2 words to the person. Yeah. And I went to the gym and he knew that, he's like, oh, you're Ben Bhatti, you're the illustrator. And I was like, yeah, I'm working with an amazing team, Iron 1313. And he was just like, oh, the book is fantastic. So I've never spoken to this guy at all before, but he's came to me and been like, oh, you did that, and that's what I thought was so special about this book and this project, that he was so passionate about it. That he came over and spoke to me about it. So I thought that was amazing.
Guys, thank you for coming. If you're sat at home watching this show, and there are non-Punjabi people who have bought this book and you haven't, you need to go out and buy it. You need to go out and support their projects. You need to go onto the website, donate what you can, whether it's £1, whether it's 5, whether it's 50. This is the stuff for the future. This is what your kids are watching, And this is what we need to contribute to as a society. Enu kende hai seva. It's not in the traditional form of seva, it's the new seva that our religion needs. Yeah? Not what our religion is advertising or saying that sanu aa chahida hai. Yeah? We don't need to make rich people more richer. We need to help the people who are doing something. Any last message from yourselves? Oh, I covered it all.
That was a great message, yeah.
Yeah.
I think.
Okay, brilliant. Now, just for the kids at home who are watching, you know that song? We all listen to it. Guru Nanak, where are you? Here I am with Vaheguru. We're going to watch that now, and every time you watch it, you've got to realize these are the people who made it. So you've got to tell your mummy and daddy to help these people so they can make more songs like that and more videos for you. So here we're going to watch the song, and Appa Milte Hain song to baad.
जी सो ਤੇ ਬੰਗਲ ਬੁੱਧਵਾਰ ਉਹ ਵੇਦ ਢਿੱਲੀ ਹੋਣ ਕਰਕੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਫੋਨ ਆਇਆ, ਅਸੀਂ ਉੱਥੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਏ ਤੇ ਡੈਡੀ ਮੇਰੇ ਆਉਂਦਿਆਂ ਬੁੱਧਵਾਰ ਆਇਆ, ਵੀਰਵਾਰ ਉਹਦੀ ਡੈਥ ਹੋ ਗਈ। ਤਹਿਸੀਲ ਜ਼ਿਲ੍ਹਾ ਫਿਰੋਜ਼ਪੁਰ, ਸਰਦਾਰ ਅਮਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਸਾਡਾ ਸ਼ੰਕਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਚੌਧਰੀ ਜੀ।
ਆਪਣੀ ਜ਼ਮੀਨ ਕਿੰਨੀ ਹੈ
ਵੀ 3 ਕਨਾਲ ਜ਼ਮੀਨ ਹੈ ਜੀ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲੇ, 2 ਭਾਈ ਅਸੀਂ।
3 ਕਨਾਲ ਕਿ 3 ਕਿੱਲੇ?
3 ਕਨਾਲਾਂ ਜੀ।
3 ਕਨਾਲਾਂ।
3 ਕਨਾਲਾਂ ਜੀ।
ਕਿੰਨੇ ਮੈਂਬਰ ਟੋਟਲ ਕਿੰਨੇ ਘਰ 'ਚ?
9 ਮੈਂਬਰ ਬਲਦੇ, 10 ਮੈਂਬਰ ਬਲਦੇ ਆ ਜੀ।
ਆਪ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਜੀ?
ਮੈਂ ਵਰਕਸ਼ਾਪ ਦਾ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਦਾ ਜੀ।
ਮੈਂ ਦਿਹਾੜੀ ਡੱਕਾ ਹੀ ਆ।
ਹਾਂ ਦਿਹਾੜੀ ਡੱਕਾ ਜੀ।
ਆਪਣਾ ਫਿਰ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਨੇ ਕੋਈ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਕੁਛ?
ਨੇ ਕੁਛ ਨਹੀਂ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਜੀ ਸਾਨੂੰ, ਕੁਛ ਨਹੀਂ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਜੀ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਨੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ।
ਉੱਪਰੋਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਆ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੱਸਦੇ ਹੋ ਕਿ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਸੰਗਠਨ ਨੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ
ਕੁਛ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੇ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਜੀ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਆਣ ਕੇ।
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। Sangat ji, today we are at Firozpur at the Bend Joyawala. We've just come to visit a family of a Bapuji who was at Tikri border at the Kisan Morcha, who on return fell very ill and sadly passed away. We've come to visit the family today and the conditions not the best. There's 2 tiny rooms and the kitchen is outdoor. There's no bathroom here, and there's 12 members living in 2 tiny rooms. And our team's going to go back and we're going to make an assessment, and hopefully we're going to support these young children and our brothers and the family, and obviously Bebeji, who he's left behind. Thank you for your support. Without your support, none of this would be possible. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
ਵੈਲਕਮ ਬੈਕ। ਔਰ ਹੋਪਫੁਲੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੇਖ ਰਹੇ ਆ ਜੀ ਕਿ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਜੋ ਪੈਸੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਰੇਜ਼ ਕੀਤੇ ਸੀ ਕਿਸਾਨਸ ਇਨ ਨੀਡ ਵਾਲੇ ਇਵੈਂਟ 'ਤੇ ਕਿੱਥੇ ਲੱਗ ਰਹੇ ਆ ਵਾਇਆ MLSS। ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਹੈ ਜੀ ਕਿ ਅੱਜ ਦਾ ਸ਼ੋਅ what we're talking about today is education, young children, the next generation। ਆਪਾਂ ਦੀ ਇੱਕੋ ਹੀ ਸਾਡੀ ਕੰਪਲੇਂਟ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਆ ਯੂਜਲੀ, ਸਾਡੇ ਮਾਪਿਆਂ ਦੀ ਵੀ ਇਹੀ ਸੀਗੀ, ਸਾਡੀ ਵੀ ਇਹੀ ਆ ਕਿ ਸਾਡੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਸਿੱਖੀ 'ਚ ਨਹੀਂ ਆ ਰਹੇ, ਆਪਣੇ ਧਰਮ 'ਚ ਨਹੀਂ ਆ ਰਹੇ। ਆਪਾਂ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਇੰਗੇਜ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਆਈਪੈਡਾਂ ਮੂਹਰੇ ਬੈਠੇ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰੇ ਜਾਓ, ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰੇ ਜਾਣ ਨੂੰ ਤਿਆਰ ਨਹੀਂ। ਵੈਲ ਐਕਚੁਅਲੀ ਓਨਸ ਇਜ਼ ਔਨ ਅਸ। ਆਪਾਂ ਐਜ਼ ਦੇ ਪੇਰੈਂਟਸ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਟੀਚਰ ਆ, ਸਾਡੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਆ ਜੀ ਫਰਜ਼ ਕਿ ਆਪਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸਹੀ ਰਸਤੇ ਪਾਈਏ, ਤਾਂ ਉਹ ਮੈਥਡ ਯੂਜ਼ ਕਰੀਏ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਰੂਹ ਲੱਗੇ ਉਸ ਚੀਜ਼ 'ਚ, ਦਿਲਚਸਪ ਹੋਵੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ। ਐਂਡ ਵਨ ਆਫ ਦੋਜ਼ ਥਿੰਗਸ that my kids like doing, and I'm sure your kids like doing, is colouring in and playing with colours, drawings. And I'm so glad today ਕਿ ਅੱਜ ਮੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ from Sikh Colouring ਹੈਗੇ ਆ ਭੈਣ ਜੀ ਰਣਜੀਤ ਕੌਰ ਐਂਡ ਪ੍ਰੀਤ ਰਾਜ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ। ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਜੀ, ਵੈਲਕਮ ਟੂ ਦ ਸ਼ੋਅ। ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਜੀ ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਆ ਜੁਗਾੜ ਦੇਖ ਕੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਖੁਸ਼ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਐਂਡ it's amazing what you do. ਥੋੜ੍ਹਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਦੱਸੋ, just tell us what you do.
Yes, so I'm the illustrator of Sikh Colouring Books, and I enjoy creating resources for children for education, and so that they can learn Sikhi in a really fun way and get back into roots for Punjabi, Sikhi, and it's really enjoyable for them.
When we go to the shop or to the market, ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਆਪਣੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਲਈ colouring books ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਉਣਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ, like ਕੋਈ Peppa Pig one, ਕੋਈ Avengers one, but ਮੈਂ ਕਦੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਦੇਖੀ ਉੱਥੇ ਕੋਈ like a religious colouring book. So how did you get the concept? ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਮਨ 'ਚ ਆਈਡੀਆ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਆਇਆ ਕਿ ਆਪਾਂ ਇਹ ਚੀਜ਼ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਈਏ?
I think necessity is the basic answer for that. You know, when we had kids, we were having the same existential questions. How are we going to get our kids in line with our faith? How are we going to get them connected to our roots? So the basic idea came to us when our children were in nursery. We said, Vaisakhi aa rahi hai, how are we going to tell other children? Christmas Day, you know, Easter Day, they're currying cooker and whatnot sort of thing. Yeah. How are we going to tell other children that this is important for us? Yeah. So we created this little A5 3-page stapled booklet of Sikh images and said, this is Vaisakhi and here you go, here's a present for Vaisakhi. And you know, for our kids, they're always saying, why are we wearing patake? Why are we wearing the stara?
Gee.
So we wanted to show them that this is normal, you know.
And what was the response to that?
It was amazing. It was really good. So there's 3-page booklet with some colouring pencils, and parents were overwhelmed and said, could you make a book? And I was like, my background's IT. How do I make a book? I had no idea. So we researched, and we learned quickly that we can make a book. And then once we started that trial, we just thought, we'll try this out, see how this goes. And it went within days. And then camps started, and they started ordering and wanted specific books. Then the second book came out, and then it just kept rolling, and demand was so much that people wanted more books about Sikhi, Punjabi, getting back into roots, connecting, that we've been going with the flow.
When did you start this? What year?
2016.
Now you mentioned the colouring pencils. ਮੈਨੂੰ ਚੇਤਾ ਆ ਗਿਆ ਮੈਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਫਰੈਂਡਾਂ ਦੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਖੰਡ ਪਾਠ ਤੇ ਗਿਆ ਸੀਗਾ ਸੁਖਮਨੀ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦੇ ਪਾਠ ਤੇ and as a gift to us ਜਦੋਂ ਲੱਡੂਆਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ they gave us these books and perhaps not these ones but they were exactly and pencils and when we brought them home my kids were so happy like Kushi my daughter was so happy and she was like oh look at this and my wife who's well into this sort of stuff you know so she's like antithesis so she's the mega religious one and I'm the sort of non-veg one in our family. That's the balance. But she was so happy. She goes, oh, I'm so glad that something like this. And since then, you've expanded on that. So tell us, products again.
Yeah, so we've expanded to framed art as well.
Yeah.
We have so that's for posters for children for the alphabet.
Yeah.
And the Punjabi numbers as well, so that they can have it in their bedrooms or playroom, so they can learn in so many different ways.
To learn to them to count Punjabi or recognize the Punjabi numbers. So we created a poster so they can put that in their rooms.
What about this you've got in front of you? What is that?
So this is the Gurmukhi alphabet book. And
oh, Gurmukhi alphabet. There we go. So ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਜੀ ਕਿ ਊੜਾ ਐੜਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਿੱਖਣਾ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਇਹ ਸਾਡੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਊੜਾ ਐੜਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਿੱਖਦੇ. Have a look at this.
So the way we've done with this book is we've incorporated the Sikhi aspect as well. So instead of saying ura und, we've picked up 3 words from Gurbani with each letter. So it links in more with Sikhi as well. So so again, it's got the colouring aspect, it's got the writing aspect. It's to make it a bit more fun.
And that's basic. I think any kid can do this. Like, you know,
adults as well.
Yeah, adults as well.
You'd be surprised.
I will be going home and doing. And what other stuff you've done? You've got all of these books here, and they go through different phases of Sikhism.
Yeah, so they start off with the basic book, with the Sikh colouring book, which is, you know, just for the younger children.
One? That's for the young kids.
And it's got basic drawings. Then you get to the next one, which is a colouring book, but also multiple choice questions in that book there. That's a Gurmat colouring book.
Brilliant.
And then we created the Guru Nanak Dev Ji's book, which tells the children about Guru Nanak Dev Ji's 3 virtues, Naam Japana, Kirtana, Vand Chakana. And then, so basically bite-sized topics we've explored with.
Like Amrit ceremony here, the creation of the Khalsa, which we spoke about last week on Navasaki show.
And that's actually a storybook. So that's our first storybook that we've done, the creation of Khalsa.
And Seva activity books about the different aspects of Seva. Now, $1 million question. That he funded kidda?
We've self-funded.
Aaphi? Apni jeb chon?
Yeah.
But this is something we created. This was, you know, we saw the need for our children, and as when our kids got to 3-year-old, they started to learn English. We said, okay, we need to have a book for them so they can learn Punjabi.
But ਜੇ ਮੈਂ ਹੁਣ ਦੇਖਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਇਹ ਸੈਲਫ ਫੰਡਡ ਪ੍ਰੋਜੈਕਟ ਨਾਲ ਕਿੰਨੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਫਾਇਦਾ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਇਹ ਤਾਂ ਹਰ ਘਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੋਣੀ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ ਹੈ ਐਂਡ ਹਰ ਗੁਰੂ ਘਰ 'ਚ ਹੋਣੀ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਘਰਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਜਾਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਬਿਜ਼ਨਸਮੈਨ ਘਰ ਬੈਠੇ ਆ ਜਾਂ ਈਵਨ ਯੂ ਡੋਨਟ ਹੈਵ ਟੂ ਬੀ ਅ ਬਿਜ਼ਨਸਮੈਨ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਆਪਾਂ ਲੰਗਰਾਂ ਵੱਲ ਨੂੰ ਸੇਵਾ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਜਾਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਰੇਡੀਓ ਸਟੇਸ਼ਨ ਦੀ ਅਪੀਲ ਆ ਗਈ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸੇਵਾ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਜਾਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਇੰਨੇ ਪੈਸੇ ਦੇ ਕੇ ਪਾਠ ਕਰਾਉਂਦੇ ਆ ਮੈਂ ਇਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਹਟ ਜਾਓ ਪਰ ਜੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਥੋੜ੍ਹਾ ਖਰਚਾ ਘਟਾ ਕੇ ਇੱਧਰ ਥੋੜ੍ਹਾ ਡੋਨੇਸ਼ਨ ਦਿਓ ਤਾਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਿੰਨਾ ਫਾਇਦਾ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ ਇਸ ਚੀਜ਼ ਦਾ everyone needs help, right? And I'm sure you lot could do the extra bit of help.
Yeah, especially with the app.
You're right.
Yeah, so
and ਤੁਸੀਂ full time ਕੰਮ ਵੀ ਕਰਦੇ?
No, this is my full time.
ਹੁਣ ਤੁਸੀਂ full time ਕਰਦੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੰਮ ਕੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਸੀ?
So I used to be in IT.
Yeah.
Unix analyst, and since having children, and seeing the demand for these resources and creating these and also framed art, hukunames, the app. So
ਹੁਣ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਐਪ ਬਣਾਇਆ
yeah.
ਸੋ ਐਪ ਬਾਰੇ ਦੱਸੋ ਥੋੜ੍ਹਾ ਜਿਹਾ
So the app is amazing. So it was another request from Sangat that can you create our children who are digitalized, who are very into devices, to create something that could be fun for them when they're in the Gurdwara or they're waiting in the opticians, anywhere, so we can get them to color rather than just watch YouTube. So that's when we created the seat coloring app. It's a free app to download, and the first 5 images are free, and it's amazing.
That is brilliant. So now we can do the colouring on the apps, just like kids have got apps and draw apps and all of that. So ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਹ ਬਣਾਇਆ ਹੁਣ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਉਹਦੇ ਤੇ ਵੀ ਟਾਈਮ ਲੱਗਾ ਹੋਣਾ ਐ ਪੈਸੇ ਲੱਗਦੇ ਆ ਫ੍ਰੀ 'ਚ ਤਾਂ ਹੈ ਨਹੀਂ ਰਾਈਟ ਦੇਖੋ ਜੀ ਇੱਕ ਬੇਨਤੀ ਆ ਜੀ ਕਿ ਆਪਾਂ ਪੈਸੇ ਦੇਣ ਨੂੰ ਤਾਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਸ਼ੇਰ ਆ ਸਾਰੇ ਪਾਸੇ ਪਰ ਆਪਾਂ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਆਹ ਚੀਜ਼ ਆ ਨਾ ਇਹ ਆਪਣੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਲਈ ਇਨਵੈਸਟਮੈਂਟ ਆ ਇਹ ਆਪਣੇ ਭਵਿੱਖ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਨਵੈਸਟਮੈਂਟ ਆ ਤਾਂ ਇਕੱਲੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਸਵਾਰਥ ਲਈ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਿ ਮੇਰੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਲਈ ਜਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਲਈ ਜੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੌਮ ਦੇ ਜਿੰਨੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਆ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਲਈ ਸੋ ਇਹ ਜੋ ਉਪਰਾਲੇ ਅੱਜ ਦੀ ਸ਼ੋਅ 'ਚ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਦਿਖਾਲ ਰਹੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੇ ਕੀਤੇ ਹੋ ਆ ਤਾਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਦਾ ਵੀ ਫਰਜ਼ ਬਣਦਾ ਕਿ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਹੈਲਪ ਕਰੀਏ ਤਾਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਜੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਆਪਾਂ ਕੁਛ ਮਾਇਆ ਦੇ ਕੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਮਦਦ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਜੀ we should do. I bet you get asked for people to give you these things for free all the time.
You get that occasionally.
That means every day.
There's a lot. We print these locally in the UK. We want to help the economy here as well. So, there's only so much you can do.
Yeah, of course. ਏਦਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਘਰ ਵੀ ਵੇਚ ਦਿਓ ਤਾਂ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੇ ਤਾਂ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਕਿ
you've got to sustain it somewhere. The way we see it is the income that we get from this helps us keep motivated to produce more resources, and that benefits the whole community.
Well, the bigger picture is look how many kids you're helping, look how many parents you help. You try and get kids to be quiet for an hour. मैं तो आज तक achieve कर नहीं सकिया है ना but through this I can see my kids being attentive and colouring in and learning and giving them the sort of education that we weren't given. अपना जिद्दां style ਹੋਰ ਸੀ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਗਿਆ ਸਾਡੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਮਜਬੂਰੀ ਨਾਲ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਗਿਆ ਕਿ we have to do this. There was no explanations given. We just had to do something out of tradition, out of read, or because out of routine. But here ਜੇ ਨਾਲ ਦੀ ਨਾਲ ਆਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ educate ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾਂਦਾ then who's to say that we would have been I would have come out a lot better and I would have come out a lot more learned. I wouldn't be have to learning stuff in my age now that I should have learnt when I was a kid.
I think that's the thing about our generation. Our parents were struggling, so they didn't have the time to spend with us.
All kind of roti basi bandi si by working in the foundries and stuff like this. But now I think people my age watching, we can definitely help them out. Check out their website or scroll te aa raha hega seatcolouring.com and please help them. And if they've got a donate button on their page, which I'm sure they will have, or a GoFundMe one, ਤਾਂ ਉਹਦੇ 'ਚ ਦੱਬ ਕੇ 5-10 ਪਾਉਂਡ ਦੇ ਦਿਓ ਕੋਈ ਮਾੜੀ ਗੱਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਜੀ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਪੈਸਿਆਂ ਨਾਲ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਹੈਲਪ ਹੋ ਜੂ ਤੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਹੈਲਪ ਥਰੂ ਸਾਡੇ ਗਾਹਾਂ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਦੀ ਭਵਿੱਖ ਦੀ ਕੋਈ ਹੈਲਪ ਹੋ ਜੂ. Anything else that you want to say?
Yes, knowing it's your birthday this weekend.
It is my birthday this weekend.
We have another personalised item that we do for Sangat, but it's another way to learn Punjabi. So here's one for you.
ਆਹ ਕੀ ਹੈ ਜੀ ਖੋਲ ਲਈਏ
ਹਾਂਜੀ ਖੋਲ੍ਹੋ
ਚੀਜੀ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਇਆ ਚੀਜੀ
ਇਹ ਮੈਂ ਖੋਲ੍ਹਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਵਾਸਤੇ
ਖੁੱਲਦੀ ਬਣੀ ਖੁੱਲ ਜਾਣੀ ਆ ਲੈ ਏਦਾਂ ਦਾ ਨਹੀਂ
other way.
ਆ ਦੇ ਅੱਛਾ ਉਹ ਬੱਲੇ oh my god this is brilliant look at this.
This is another way we've tried to bring Punjabi and Gurmukhi into the forefront.
ਇਹਨੂੰ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਮੱਗ ਇੱਥੇ ਲਿਖਿਆ Harjap in English and in Punjabi. You have got to get one of these. Everyone watching, don't get the Harjap one. Get one with your own name on it. So ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਲਓ ਆ ਵੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ
Yes.
and ਇਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਸਿੱਖਦੇ ਬੱਚੇ.
Yes.
So all you kids out there and your mummies and daddies and bibis and babbas and nannies, you need to get one of these, seatcolouring.com, get one. ਇਹ 'ਚ ਚਾਹ ਪੀਆ ਕਰੋ ਨਾਲੇ ਮਿਲਕ ਨਾਲੇ ਪੀ ਕੇ ਹੋਇਓ strong. Thank you very much ਰਣਜੀਤ ਤੇ ਪ੍ਰੀਤਰਾਜ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਏ ਆ. Wishing you the best with your endeavours and ਤੁਸੀਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਅੱਛਾ ਕੰਮ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਆ and hopefully ਗਾਹਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਸ਼ੋਅ ਤੇ ਆਇਓ and let us know how you're getting on and carry on. carry on. Even when you feel like कि कोई फ़ायदा नहीं हो रहा या इदां या कोई help नहीं कर रहा, it's amazing. People out there do appreciate you. मैं ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ product ਦੇਖਿਆ ਸੀ, someone bought it and to give out. So it's all started from there. So well done.
Thank you.
ਹੁਣ ਆਪਾਂ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਜੀ ਇੱਕ ਹੋਰ MLSS ਦੀ ਕਲਿੱਪ ਵੱਲ, ਤਾਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਮਿਲਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਜੀ ਇਸ ਕਲਿੱਪ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ।
ਮੈਨੂੰ ਇੱਕ ਦਿਨ ਸੁਪਨੇ 'ਚ ਬੀਬੀ ਆਈ ਸੀ ਵੀ ਆਪਾਂ ਭੂਆ ਕੇ ਪਿੰਡ ਚੱਲੀਏ, ਵੀ ਮੈਂ ਝਾਕੀ ਫਿਰ ਭੱਜੀ। ਮੈਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਮਿਸ ਕਰਦੀ ਹਾਂ ਦਾਦੀ ਨੂੰ।
ਹਾਂਜੀ 7 ਤਰੀਕ ਨੂੰ ਗਏ ਸੀਗੇ ਅਸੀਂ, 18 ਤਰੀਕ ਨੂੰ ਮੁੜ ਕੇ ਆਏ। ਉਹਦੀ ਮੌਤ ਹੋ ਗਈ ਉਹਦੇ ਦੀ ਬਸ 20 ਨੂੰ ਮੌਤ ਹੋ ਗਈ ਉਹਦੇ ਦੀ। ਗੱਲਾਂ ਬਾਤਾਂ ਕੀਤੀਆਂ ਜੀ, ਜਦੋਂ ਉੱਥੇ ਬਾਗੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੀ ਮੇਰੇ ਦਰਦ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਗਾ ਜੀ, ਸੁਣਾ ਦਰਦ ਹੁੰਦਾ, ਕਹਿੰਦੀ ਮੇਰੇ ਦਰਦ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਬਸ ਅਸੀਂ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਡਾਊਨ ਹੋ ਗਏ ਜੀ। 2 ਮੁੰਡੇ, ਇੱਕ ਮੁੰਡਾ ਗਾ ਜੀ ਜਾਂ ਪੋਤੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਉਹਦੇ।
2 ਕਿੱਲੇ ਜ਼ਮੀਨ ਦੇ ਜੋ ਵੀ ਬਰਾਨੀ ਆ, ਪਾਣੀ ਧਾਣੇ ਹੈ ਇਹਦੇ, ਮਤਲਬ ਫਸਲ ਬਸ ਮਾੜੀ ਮੋਟੀ ਖਾਣ ਪੀਣ ਜੋ ਕੋਈ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਜੀ। ਉਹ ਦੂਜਾ ਉਹ ਮੁੰਡਾ ਰਹਿ ਗਿਆ ਜੀ, ਇੱਕ ਕੁੜੀਆਂ ਦਾ 3 ਵਿਆਹੀਆਂ ਹੋਈਆਂ, ਉਹ ਮੁੰਡੇ ਦੇ 3 ਬੱਚੇ ਛੋਟੇ ਛੋਟੇ, ਬਸ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਟਾਈਮ ਦਾ ਪਾਸ ਮਸਾਂ ਹੀ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਜੀ। ਤੇ ਤੂੰ ਵੀ ਉਹ ਜਵਾਕ ਵੀ ਥੋੜ੍ਹਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਮੰਦ ਬੁੱਢੀ ਜੀ ਕਹਿ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਜੀ, ਇਹੋ ਜਿਹੀ ਇਹਦੇ ਘਰ ਵਾਲੀ ਦਾ ਵੀ ਥੋੜ੍ਹਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਦਿਮਾਗ ਜਿਹਾ ਠੀਕ ਨਹੀਂ। ਤੇ ਐਂ ਕਰਕੇ ਤਾਂ ਇਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਵੀ ਚਲੋ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿਚਾਰਿਆਂ ਦੀ ਕੋਈ ਮਦਦ ਹੋ ਜੇ ਤੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਸੋਹਣੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੈ ਜੀ।
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। ਸੰਗਤ ਜੀ, ਜਿਵੇਂ ਸਰਪੰਚ ਜੀ ਨੇ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਹੈਗਾ, ਆਪਾਂ ਕਿੱਥੇ ਪਹੁੰਚੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਹਾਂ, ਤਾਂ ਇਹ ਪਿੰਡ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹ ਘਰ ਆ ਕੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਅੱਜ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਕੀਤੀਆਂ, ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਨੂੰ ਮਿਲੇ ਆ, ਤਾਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਦਿਲ ਨੂੰ ਥੋੜ੍ਹੀ ਅਪਸੈਟਿੰਗ ਫੀਲਿੰਗ ਹੋਈ ਵੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਗਰੀਬ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਆ, ਤਾਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਲੋੜ ਆ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਦੀ, ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਬਹੁਤ ਲੋੜ ਆ, ਤਾਂ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਨੂੰ ਬਹੁਤ ਲੋੜ ਆ ਮਦਦ ਦੀ। ਸੋ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਸਹਿਯੋਗ ਨਾਲ ਆਪਾਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਅੱਜ ਆਏ ਹੈਗੇ, ਤਾਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਟੀਮ ਨਾਲ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਡਿਸਕਸ਼ਨ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ, ਤਾਂ ਇਹ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਦੀ ਤਾਂ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਦੀ ਮਦਦ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ।
ਤੂੰ ਮੇਰੋ ਪਿਆਰੋ ਤਾਂ ਕੈਸੀ ਭੂਖਾ, ਤੂੰ ਮਾਨ ਬਸਿਆ ਲਗੇ